LifeSpeak podcast sponsored by Chafin Real Estate Services. Looking to make your next move? You're in the right place. Welcome to LifeSpeaks, the podcast that dives deep into real stories, big ideas, and life-changing insights.
I want to thank you for joining us again. This is a continuing story of the Reno Miracle Baby with Angela and Michael Bakker. And I want to thank you for joining us. We have had now 4 episodes, and this is going to be our 5th episode. And we are starting at the delivery of Naomi. Mm-hmm. And I'm so excited that you are here, Michael, to share your vantage point of it all. And we'll start with, so we're in the delivery room, and Naomi makes it, and we'll start there. You guys go and share your story.
Yeah, so we didn't think she was going to make it. It was never an option. And so when our doctor started screaming at us to look at our baby, because we were just waiting, we weren't able to see what was going on, and we just were a mess. We were both really crying and praying and just waiting to see what happened as far as getting me all stitched up, and then we were going to hold her if she was still alive until she passed. And that's when we got these screams from the doctor to look at your baby. And we're like, what, and they were rushing her out of the delivery room to the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit. And my poor husband didn't know what to do because we were just, you can imagine the emotions and the blood pressure. And I was just go with her. I'm fine. I got a team of doctors here taking care of me. They'd just given me a whole bunch of, my blood pressure shot through the roof. So they gave me all these things to calm me down. And I was feeling pretty good at that point. It was, I felt like I'd had a margarita or two. So I told my husband just to go with her. And then I'm just in shock. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much the last I remember of that.
Okay, and so Michael...
So Michael continued on with her, rushed out of the NICU.
I'll have to say that before our talk today, I had to go do a little bit of investigation on what happened. So back then, we didn't have... the communications were like, hey, how are you going to tell your family what's going on? And there was a lot of people who wanted to know what was going on.
Right.
So I ended up starting a Facebook page for Naomi. So that I could share that with everybody, and that way I didn't have to write emails to
everybody,
hundreds of people, because it was very overwhelming to do that. So I went today before we had our talk just to kind of remember, because it's very hard to remember. It's 10 years ago now, and I remember a doctor telling me when we were going through all that, he said, someday this will be a distant memory. And it kind of is now, which is why I had to go back and read it all.
Yeah. So it brings up a lot of emotion.
It did bring up a lot of emotions today, and
that's okay.
As I was reading some of that, they said that the doctors, I recollected and I wrote it all down, which I'm glad I did, because it's it's very easy to forget that stuff when you write it down. There it all is, and the doctors in the room and the nurses were all like, I can't believe, they were in awe of what happened with her in there in the delivery room. Like she was breathing on her own, as small as she was, and the anesthesiologist said, I can't believe she's breathing. I've never seen a situation like this where the baby's actually trying to breathe.
We want to, sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think we've mentioned her size, what she was, because we didn't know that at the time either.
Looked all that up again today, too.
Mm-hmm. So she's less than a pound,
She was, 364 grams, which was 12.86 ounces. So we always used to compare it to a can of soda, because that's how much she weighed. And she was, I think it was 26 centimeters long.
Just teeny.
Very small. And I just remember taking a picture with my hand next to her, because the doctor, after he delivered her and got a breathing tube down her throat, he says, we got to go now. Take a quick picture. And so my hand was just about as big as she was. And we posted that up there, too, just to kind of give reference for how big she was. But the doctors were very, I think there was some awe in that operating room that she even made it through that procedure and was breathing, and that they could even get a tube down her throat for a breathing ventilator. So it was very rushed. I just remember it being very chaotic that whole time, and most of the time I think as she's having the C-section, I'm by her head, and we're both crying because she wasn't supposed to make it.
Right.
We were heading into really a moment or a few hours or multiple hours or a few minutes that we were dreading, which was, first of all, is she alive? Second of all, how long do we hold her until she passes? And that could be hours.
And also your life was at risk,
Yes.
according to the doctors. So.
Absolutely. And I went into a pretty serious situation over the next 24 hours.
So it was preeclampsia.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to see her for, was it 24 or 48 hours? But I remember knowing she had come because there was no noise, but I knew she was there with our son. You know, he cried, and Michael's like, she is, and then we really started bawling. And then when they were yelling at me to look at her, I just started screaming. She's alive. She's like I'm looking at Michael screaming at him. He's like, I know. Like what? Like what are you trying to tell me? But I was just overcome with I'm not a screamer, a lot of attention on me type person. But I was just, oh my gosh, she's alive. And at that moment when I was screaming the joy, I heard a few sniffles around the room. Yeah. It was dead quiet. Nobody was doing anything because it's obviously not.
And that's the medical people. That
yeah,
were sniffling.
And there were lots of them in there. You know, there was was it 10 people at least or 15? As opposed to Nathaniel, there was 2 in our delivery room. And so everything was very, very quiet because it's a serious situation and it's a very sad situation that doctors have to live through, nurses have to live through. And so then I started screaming, and then I heard a few gulps and sniffles, and I'm just like, go with her. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard. I mean, before all that too, and we had talked before, Angela and I, but when she was in the hospital prior to that, for monitoring for preeclampsia, I was home and had a very long prayer with God for probably a good hour, just begging for her life. And there was this peace that came over. No matter what's going to happen, I had peace about it. And even though you have peace, doesn't mean you don't have to go through the hardship. So it's not like I felt the whole time like, oh, I have peace about this. Whatever happens, happens. No, I mean, it's still very traumatic, but there was still a peace that God had given me. And I believe to some extent Angela about the situation, like I'm here through it all. And so with all that, I mean, we were still very surprised that she made it through that whole process.
Yeah, I bet.
And then from then on, it was starting a journey. I don't remember. I didn't write down what I did that day. As far as I just remember going to the NICU, and probably a team of 8 people were surrounding her in a NICU bed, taking care of her, putting her in there, getting her intubated, and there was a lot of craziness.
Before all that happened, if I could back up
Sure.
with your history, Michael, because here you have a baby boy that's perfect in our eyes,
Right.
in the American eyes as we see it, and then you get the news that this pregnancy is not going to be normal in any form or fashion, and I've been able to have Angela's side of how she felt. How did you feel when you got that news?
Probably didn't want to believe it.
Denial. Somewhere in Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no, they're wrong.
They got it wrong.
Yeah. And I don't know. I didn't sit there and think, oh, what's going to happen? Like, how's our life going to be changed? Until we get there. I mean, there's some prep that I think some of the doctors told us to do. Like, we'll tell you where you are right now just so you can prepare for what life could be like. if you have a baby that's had some brain bleeds and now has cerebral palsy or something else, some other condition, she's blind, she's deaf, because those chances were very high. Her chances for having it, they said any kind of a normal life, and they quoted it like, you know, what's normal mean, was like less than 4%. So we're like, something's going to happen.
You're telling me there's a chance.
Right,
That's what
right.
Seriously.
You're telling me there's
But
a chance.
they would, every time they would say something, because again, part of our testimony is the multiple doctors we saw were like, but don't worry, she's not going to make it. If anything, that was an encouragement. Like, they warned us about what it could look like, but you don't really need to even go down that road because she's not going to make it.
Wow.
But if by some miracle she does, this is going to look really bad.
Okay.
So they kind of put that fear of God in us in a way.
Yeah.
So we hadn't,
I don't think, I mean, we didn't plan at home for like, what could it be like if, you know, we have a blind child or a deaf child. I mean,
Or cerebral palsy.
we'll go, you know, we'll have to deal with that when it comes up, if it happens.
And we weren't at a point where we had a nursery done or anything like that either, because we're 25 weeks. We were told at 23, 24 that this is not going to work out.
Right.
So while we had slowly started getting little things for baby girls and whatnot, we were like, we're not going to have this baby. So we hadn't started prepping in any way, shape, or form.
I mean,
because
she wasn't
we were actually planning for a funeral, and we had that figured out as far as what we were going to do for her goodbye and what it was going to look like. And we even had a little outfit handmade by a friend of the family's that she was going to be buried in. So that's the planning we had done at that point. So.
When you had that first reaction of denial, though, do you believe that that was faith, or was it just pure denial?
No, I wouldn't. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say it was totally faith. No.
Kind of a mix of both.
It is a mix of both, probably. But
Did you have those 3 a.m. wake-ups that you were worried, or? I mean,
I was always worried. But it was a very quick 2 weeks, I think, before when we found out that things were not going well, to going to lots of different doctors, going out to San Francisco, getting second opinions and third opinions, and then a week later, after all that, all those opinions, Angela delivering, there was just, it just happened so fast. It was like, I was more like, let's please God, you know, whatever happens, I know it's your will. This is what I would like it to be. You know, like we always want God to do what we want. I'm like, I just handed it over to the point where I'm like, I can't do anything.
Right.
I know what I'd like to have happen.
It's a good
And I know
place.
lots of people have the same situation. We saw lots of families in the NICU, and not all of them ended well. So I'm not oblivious to the fact that things could have gone differently. I don't know why God said, this is what will happen with your daughter, and didn't do that with other children that were in there. I can't answer that question.
You know, it's really interesting to me because those moments of utter surrender are where he works.
Yeah.
And I don't think I shared this with you. I might have shared it with you, Angela, about my grandson. We had just gone through COVID. The whole family made it through, except Benjamin was not getting better. And he was 12, 13 years old at the time. And he'd lost like 10 pounds in a week. We didn't know what was going on. And during COVID, you could only have one person in the hospital, you know. So I remember praying, God, you know, just speak to my kids about taking him to the hospital. And Paula finally took Benjamin to the hospital because we didn't know what was going on, and he looked like a concentration camp victim, like within a week. It was just crazy because he was a small kid anyways. And then when he went to the hospital, my son-in-law texts me, can you come over right away? I have to go to the hospital. I'm thinking, okay, what's going on? I got there, and he said, they're telling me he won't make it.
Oh.
He has ketoacidosis, which is type 1 diabetes, and they didn't know he had type 1 diabetes. It just came on because of the trauma of COVID. It was always in his body, you know. they didn't think he'd make it through the night, you know, and so the family got together, and I mean, we just all prayed, you know, but Brian, my son-in-law, was not a believer yet, and he just had one of those come to Jesus moments where he said, God, whatever you do with my son, please help him not be in any pain. And he made it. So I understand that feeling.
Absolutely.
You know, he made it. And he's now 18 years old and beautiful. And, you know, but you just don't know, you know. But that moment of surrender, and now my son-in-law is a believer.
Yeah.
You just don't know what is going to happen. But in that full surrender, I believe that's where God can work.
Because you feel so helpless.
No, you do. You feel helpless, and you can't do anything.
There's nothing. That's what was so frustrating.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do besides your will be done. That was it.
And trust. And
trust,
that's what's so hard for me is people that don't have that moment of surrender, and they're trying to work it out. Anyways,
Yeah.
I just wanted to interject that because I can totally relate. Yeah. So continue on where you were, Michael. I know that we're having
totally
a
forgot
cry
where I was.
fest. I know. So we were going back with
Yeah.
that moment. So now you're in the
The NICU.
NICU
Yeah.
and craziness is happening.
Right.
Yeah. So what were those timelines they gave you? Like the first 24 hours, the first week, the first month? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So, because we were like, oh my gosh, like it was good news, but it was also terrifying news. Because we're like, oh wow. And when they told us her weight, we're like, oh wow.
It's even less than
We've
I
done our
projected.
research and we know what this looks like. And we have seen some of these little babies, none of them are this small. And then we're like the 4% chance of normal. And while I told God, give her to me, however, we were like, wow, what's this going to look like? How much is our baby suffering right now?
Yeah.
There was
that is the hard.
almost a sense of guilt. The nurses and the doctors were amazing, and they assured us, they're like, she is on pain medicine. Like, how can you tell? She couldn't even talk yet. She didn't have a voice. We watch her blood pressure, and her heart rate. And when her heart rate goes up, that means she's in pain. I'm like, oh, of course, because everyone's heart rate. You know, there's no reason when you're lying in a bed for your heart rate to go up.
Right.
So that gave me a little bit of peace, but there was tubes and so
Tubes, needles, tape.
and she was just like this little featherless bird.
I think that was
Is the best description.
well, that was the hardest part because it's like you know, you look at her and you're like, this is not a normal child. I mean,
This isn't how it's supposed to be.
no, well, it's not how it's supposed
Totally
to
normal child in utero. Totally
Yeah.
normal. Little fingernails, little eyelashes,
Everything.
little nose, everything. But it's like too
be.
soon.
But her
Too
skin
soon.
is like
Paper.
it was paper. I mean, it was like almost
Cellophane.
that all you could see all her muscles. She was totally dark. So I mean, they're like, oh yeah, that's just because you see her muscle because her skin's not like fully developed like ours is or a normal child because it's not all complete yet. So you're like, it was kind of shocking, you know, like this is my daughter. Hard to see a child that small, that frail looking outside the womb in an incubator, basically. And I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. Nothing can prepare you for those kind of things in life, I don't think. You just got to go through them. And it was, we're going to take this one day at a time. And again, starting that whole Facebook page and people's reaction, and it just it was meant just for my family. That's
Family
really
and friends.
That's really
Yeah.
what it was for. And then I don't know if people just kept passing it around and forwarding it and sharing it, but then it just got, people from all over the country were following her. Her story and
People from all over the world.
world too.
Yeah.
There was some
Exactly.
countries I'm pretty well traveled, but I'm like, that's a country? It was insane.
Yeah. But
Some of the we had maybe 60, 70 people we were trying to keep in the loop, but it's a story that everyone heard the baby made it. The baby's how big, and suddenly people were drawn to it. It was just more like a blog. It was Facebook, but it was a blog on Facebook, so you didn't really need an account or anything. But I wasn't allowed anywhere near my phone. He snatched it away from me. I was a hot mess. So he's like, you're not going on Facebook. Everybody's out living their best lives right now, and you're in a deep depression, and you don't need to see people celebrating 4th of July and doing all that stuff. I will communicate with everyone what's going on. Too many people were reaching out. One wanted text, one wanted call, one wanted this. So he took over that role because I was not capable. And I tend to be the communicator in the family. It's my career. But Michael stepped up to the plate and wrote these beautiful posts. And people would just, is there a note today? Is there a note today? Is she still alive? And, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people were reading it. We're like, where, you know, but everybody wanted to find out how this little baby, one of the smallest in the world, was doing.
And as we started it out, too, I mean, I was up front. I'm like, I don't know where this is going because this is only week 1, right? I mean,
it was very bleak, the first
she
post.
could die in the next day. I'm like, so I'm just posting this for her journey, and I don't know where it's going. So it wasn't, the end result was not like, hey, look where she's at now at age 10 with no issues hardly. And that was not my intent because I didn't know where we were starting.
Right.
We were starting week 1. Tomorrow she could die. Or tomorrow she could have a brain bleed, and that could give her cerebral palsy for life. Or we don't even know if she can see yet. We don't know if she can hear yet. We have no
Didn't
idea.
know if she was ever going to have a voice. If the tube had damaged her voice, we didn't know anything.
So
it was
all
just
all these things were unknown. So it was kind of a story that was just unfolding for everyone to just see, pray, and I put all our prayer requests on there every day. Here's where she's at. Here's what we need prayers for.
Here's our biggest issues going on. There was something medically, like in this first, well, they originally told you the first 24 hours if she makes the first 24 hours.
That's critical.
And then if she makes the first week, and then was it the next 2 weeks or was it a month? So those are critical indicators where this is statistically where the baby will pass.
Yeah.
And so that made it the first 24, made it the first week, and then at some point she got a little tear in her groin. And so
Was
remember
it
this?
the groin or the colon?
No, it was the groin. That was that was different.
That's different.
There was a few. We had a few
She
instances.
had quite a few things that went on as
This was the first big one.
I was reading. So that happened at the same time. So she had, they said that her tummy was getting bigger, which was indication of perforated bowel between the small and large intestine was their estimation. Again, good thing I wrote those down. 'Cause I was reading. So they had to put like a little stint in there or whatever just to air it out and let it drain.
Normally they would do surgery.
Yeah.
But our surgeon in
small.
Reno, she said, there's no
can't.
way. I do one little cut on her and she'll bleed out.
Yeah.
You know, just a few drops of blood. And I've had it happen before. So it was like the ideal version would be surgery on a child. In our case, we'll pop the little tube in and hope it works.
Hope it drains
kinda
out.
like,
Hope
we'll
it
see if
doesn't. Hope
yeah.
she doesn't get
Sepsis.
or
Infection.
neck, whatever. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah,
what it said.
where it kills it, neck or
your intestines start dying, right? So they didn't like if she gets neck, part of her
It's really
intestines
bad.
could
It's
die,
necrosis, yeah.
and if that happens, then she might not live anyway because her intestines won't be functioning. So you had that that you're worried about with those situations, and then she's got a tear right in the crease of a groin. And I remember how long, 3 centimeters or something like that. It was pretty big. And they're like, we can't stitch it because her skin's just like paper and it'll just tear. So if we try to do that, it'll make it even worse. So they just gave her antibiotics. They're putting her on salve on it. And they're like, we just hope it closes on its own in the next few weeks, which over
It's
time
huge.
it did.
Yeah.
It kept getting smaller and smaller. But as I wrote, it would be about a 7-inch cut on a full-size human or an adult. I mean, that's how
without
big
being stitched
without
up.
being stitched
or,
up.
You
Yeah,
know,
so
so it was a big thing that like this could take her. This could take her. And then it was
a lot of things could take her.
Then it was the neck. And then it was the neck twice. We
She had that
we
twice.
had neck twice. And they're like, wow, this sucks.
Or,
Because normally this will take the baby. And then she had it twice. And both times she was healed. And there was just calm days and absolutely anxiety riddled days where you were just hoping to not get the hospital told us we will never call you. If we call you, it's because something's wrong. Right. So don't ever expect to hear from us because we were every day, We got childcare because obviously my son couldn't come. Michael eventually had to go back to work. Friends and family came in from everywhere to help.
When did you go home?
I went home a week after delivery.
Okay.
And
But you kept coming back to the hospital
yeah.
as much as possible.
Every single day.
We went every day.
Yeah, as long as we could. I felt pretty helpless, actually. It was quite an interesting story because I remember just sitting there. I could barely touch her. I wasn't ready to hold her yet, and I'm just sitting there. And she's in this incubator with all these machines, and I remember talking to one of the respirators, and I'm like, I feel kind of useless. I can't even change my baby's diaper. I was getting milk for her, but I'm like this. I'm just sitting here, and he's like, even though you're just sitting here, it makes a difference. And I'm like, how? Like, break it down. Tell me why. It's like, I don't know. But he said there's a lot of babies in here, and the parents don't show up, which is heartbreaking. And he said the babies whose parents show up, even if you can't hold them, they do better.
They hear your voice.
They hear your voice. And I wasn't even talking. He goes, just read out loud. Just read. Sit here, hang out with her, and read out loud. Now, once I was able to start holding her, changed everything because the baby's doing much better. She was thriving. When I would hold her, her numbers would be really good for a few days because I couldn't hold her every day. It was a very, very complicated situation with lots of types, tubes and pipes and you name it. But those days in the early times where you were just standing there, basically not doing anything, and just looking at her and trying not to cry, they encourage us, like, please keep doing this. It will make a difference.
I wonder if there's a spiritual aspect because we're spirits wrapped in flesh. That she knew you were there.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, they say children hear their mother's voice when they're in utero, right? So, I mean, they know your voice when you're out.
And
when they're
daddies.
out.
And daddies, yeah.
So just going in there and talking, I don't know if that gives them peace, that it's like, oh, that's my parents' voice. I know that voice, and calms them down.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Well, we reckon, we've always said this, we think one of the busiest places for the angels to hang out is in the NICU. I reckon that place is full of angels.
I believe that.
Like, it's sweet, innocent little babies that are fighting to be on this world. Yeah. It was very hard leaving her, as you can imagine, not knowing if you'd get a phone call.
Yeah, very stressful.
You just say goodbye thinking, I hope everything's okay when I come tomorrow. And every so often, my poor mother-in-law, because we had cell phones at the time, and so there was the landline. We had a landline, so that's what the hospital had. And his mother called on the landline one night, and we're like, what? She was like, oh, I'm just calling to say hi. I'm like, oh, we thought you were in the hospital. So she was like, sorry. Like, please don't ever call this number. We're like, our baby's dying. So we got a couple of calls to come in and be with her, and things were, or they were having to do something that they needed to check, that they wanted us to be aware of, because there's a whole bunch going on when we're not around. But there was never the call that come in now. She's passing away. We thankfully never had that call.
No.
We had some close calls, but
Yeah. I think I'm going to take one step back, and that was giving her name. So we sat for a long time trying to find a name for our little girl. And we settled on it. This is before we knew what was going on. And then when everybody said, there's no hope for your little girl, and I'm like, well, what if we want to have another child? I kind of like that name.
we both, it's really sad, but that's the reality of where we're at. It's like, we wanted to know if we could have more children. If this was an issue. He's like, no, it's so random. It's so one-off. It's so, and we were both like, well, if she's not going to make it, we love that name. And so we were considering, I mean, it's morbid. It really is. But it was just like, do we give her another name and hope that one day we get her Naomi?
Right. And that was a big thing. And then God works all over. And with the story and stuff, one of the gals I know from high school, I haven't talked to her in forever. She just said, we went through a NICU experience, same thing. Give your children the name you wanted. And that was another prompting. Just like, you know what? That's the name God wants her to have.
What's her middle name?
Joy.
So we hadn't decided on the middle name yet.
Love that.
I wasn't loving it, and we figured it was not a big issue anyway.
Right.
And then when she was born, and I remember Michael her name is Naomi Joy Bakker. And I'm like, okay. Like, I was just so like, she's made it. You could ask me to do anything right now, because I was so excited and happy and like had a hope. We hadn't had any hope.
Right.
We did not have hope for weeks. And we had this glimmer, just like this little tiny dewdrop of hope. And Michael's like, it needs to be Naomi Joy, as far as the joy bit. And I'm like, you got it. And he was just like, it was just like, it is done. Like, this is what she has to be called. And I was like, I'm not questioning it. Now it's Naomi Joy, little Naomi Joy.
Yeah, that word joy to me was so baffling, because I had gone through cancer, and I asked the Lord, several times just about what I was supposed to be doing and whatever. And he gave me the verse, 1 Thessalonians 5:16 and 17. And it said, be joyful always, pray continually, and in all circumstances give thanks to God. And I'm like, well, I'm not joyful right now.
Yeah.
This is not joy for me.
No.
And I said, why joy? And he said, because my joy is your strength. And I said, okay, how do I get joy? And he just showed me to be grateful for everything that I already have. And that started to bring joy. I thought about holding my grandkids in my arms when I first was a grandma. And I was like, okay, that is like the most joyful experience. I can hold on to that.
Yeah.
And then I became stronger through the experience, going through chemo and radiation and whatever. And so to give her that beautiful name, it's really not happiness. It is uncircumstantial happiness.
I like that.
Yeah. And so I love that you gave her that name. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think one thing that impressed me about your story when you were speaking at Summit was, you didn't have any faith, but everybody else had faith for you. And I love that. I mean, you had all these people praying for you. Even your husband had more faith than you.
Yes.
And thank God, for that, because faith walks us through the impossible.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I was a wreck. There were good days and bad days. I wouldn't say good days. There was okay days, because I wasn't thrilled at any point. And not to mention healing from a C-section, having to say goodbye to my children at home, and then in the hospital. I could never be with my children in the same room. And I would leave the house, and my son would be bawling his eyes out. And I would leave the hospital, and as soon as I'd walk out, an alarm would go off, and I'd stop and be like, is something going on? Is she, because things happen. But he had to, and then of course the hormones, the insane postpartum hormones, and I was having a very rough time. There were dark days, really dark days. There were days that I didn't really care if I was alive or dead. There truly was, where this is too big, this is too painful. Did I contemplate doing anything? No, at all, not at all. But if something was to happen to me, I'd be okay with it, if that makes sense. I'd be like...
Well, also, you'd have had a declaration of you're going to die, too. So
Yes, that true, yeah.
So with that, we're gonna close this episode out, and we're going to continue on in the next episode into what the next part of your story is going to be. So
Sounds
thank you
good,
for
Leanne.
joining us, and we just want to thank you again for being here. Of course. What a blessing.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Leanne.